Today's topic, your phone made real life feel slow and boring. The main idea of this video is that your phone didn't make real life worse, it changed what your brain compares real life to in a very unfair way. The phenomenon here is something you've probably noticed, that after you've been scrolling for a while, everything else in comparison just feels really boring. If this happens to you, I want to say something very clearly. Real life did not actually get more boring of itself. Your perception of it tells you it's boring whenever you have those periods of being online a lot. Your brain is just making a comparison, and that comparison is one that real life is never going to be able to win. That's the whole idea that I'm going to be discussing today. If I were to sum it up in one sentence, I would say this. Your phone didn't make real life worse, it just changed what your brain compares real life to. Once you understand how it did that, two things happen. You stop blaming yourself for feeling unmotivated, and you start to understand why this whole feeling goes away more and more as you scroll less and less. Yes, they are directly correlated. The reversal is the good news at the end of the video, but first I'm going to explain this comparison, what I mean by that, and why it's unfair. So how the brain works is something that you already know, presumably. You've just never applied it to your phone before. Your brain does not judge experiences on their own. It judges them against whatever came right before and against what it is normally used to. It's not measuring the activity in a vacuum, it's measuring the difference of experiences, how different that is from the norm. Let me give you some examples that you are very familiar with already. You get out of the hot tub into a normal pool and that feels freezing. But then after a couple minutes, you adjust and it feels totally fine. You walk inside after you've been outside in the bright sunlight and the room is almost pitch black. You can't see for a while. And then 5 minutes later, your eyes adjust. It's totally normal. When you leave a loud concert, a quiet room will feel virtually silent. The pool didn't change, the room's lighting, the silence, none of that stuff changed. The only thing that changed is your perception of it, and it adjusted. The reference point here, your brain is always creating a reference point. It is constantly setting a baseline based on your recent experience and then judging the next thing against that baseline. Now we can ask the obvious. What happens when the most intense and the most stimulating thing in your entire day is your phone? Well, that phone is going to become the baseline and it's going to become that reference point. And then everything else in your life quietly gets measured against it unconsciously. And compared to the screen that is specifically engineered to be stimulating, obviously real life is going to have no chance in comparison. It's going to feel much less stimulating. It's not a fair fight. This is the part I don't think a lot of people consider. Real life was never designed to constantly be competing and optimized to get your attention. Your phone was designed for that specifically, hardly anything else. That's not a fair fight. I want to explain how unfair that actually is. Behind the Insta, the TikTok, the YouTube, or your favorite doom scroll of choice, there are thousands of engineers whose entire job is to maximize how much time you spend on their apps and how engaged you are with the content on those apps. That's their entire job. It's what they get paid for. They make a career out of it. And these apps are very meticulously designed. These are very smart people. They're not guessing. They're constantly running experiments on you, testing stuff like the colors, the sounds, the pacing of the videos, the thumbnails, what videos you like and what they're going to show you next over and over. Across all the users, they test billions of this times each day, tuning the whole thing to be as close to impossible to put down as they can possibly make it. Now compare that to the things in real life that you are supposed to be doing. And real life has none of this optimization at all. Your math homework or your work is not A/B testing two different thumbnails to see which one you like better. There's not two different sets of problems. Your walk outside is not doing machine learning to maximize how engaged you are. It's probably the same neighborhood every day. There's not a whole lot of change. The book on your shelf is not studying your behavior to figure out the exact moment to hit you with a dopamine spike. Real life, as we know, just goes on. It continues being real life. So when you feel like your work cannot hold your attention the way your phone can, duh, it literally can't. It's not designed to. One side has 1,000 engineers and the other side has nobody but its creator. And the comparison is never fair there. And you have been judging yourself for losing a rigged game. My bad. Unpredictability. Now I want to get into the single strongest reason you keep scrolling. And it is sneakier than you would think. And on your algorithm, you got to think to your own, is every single reel amazing? Probably not. In fact, definitely not. Most of them are somewhere in between, pretty mid, as the kids would say. Most swipes are boring, but that is exactly why you cannot stop scrolling on them. If every single video was great, you would actually get bored of it and it would be predictable and it would be a lot easier to walk away from. Conversely, if every video was terrible, you wouldn't be on the app in the first place. You would immediately uninstall it. But it's neither. It's unpredictable. Some videos are stupid, some are fine, and every once in a while one of them hits and it's hilarious and you laugh at it and it's the one that you click share on, etc. You never know which one it's gonna be though. That's the main thing. This is called variable reward schedule, and it is one of the most powerful drivers of habit. It's literally designed the same way as gambling. Like Vegas slot machines use this principle too. We all know how addicting those things could be. A casino does not pay out every single pull of the slot machine. If it did, nobody would sit there for 6 hours. It pays out randomly, just enough to keep you convinced the next pull, could be the one, could be that jackpot. The uncertainty is the hook, not necessarily the reward, but the feeling and the anticipation that you get while you're playing, that you never know when the reward and when the win is gonna occur. Your feed is the same principle. It's literally like a slot machine. Every swipe is a pull, and your brain keeps whispering the same thing as the boomer is saying on the slot machine, sitting there. One more time, just one more spin. Real life is a lot more predictable actually than this. Real life mostly gives you the delayed rewards. You know when your paycheck is gonna hit your bank account. It's at a very consistent interval. When you study, eventually the grade will get there and you roughly know what you're gonna get. You'll know the result based on studying, and you know that it's gonna come at a later date. Your phone never gives you your phone does give you these immediate, unpredictable rewards right now, and you never know when it's gonna happen when you're on these apps. Obviously, your brain is gonna prefer the second model of the phone. That is not unique to you. You're not the only one who thinks that way. That is just how the wiring of everyone's brain works, and the scrolling is specifically engineered to take advantage of that. It warps your senses. I wanna talk about what this does to your sense of time. I mean that in a very specific way. This is where it starts negatively affecting the rest of your life. So where the consequences of what I've been talking about actually come in and affect your life. Almost everything worth doing in life has a similar shape and structure. It has some setup and effort required to do. It will have a stretch of boredom usually. You're not always gonna be enjoying yourself, but then eventually the greater reward, the delayed gratification many people would call it, will arrive. That good part is very real, it's just not immediate. That's why it's called delayed. You have to walk through some dead time to get there. Look at how long the boring part lasts on some other activities in life, like reading. Maybe 20 pages before you actually really get engaged into the book and you lose your sense of time in the book. That does not come immediately. And when you're studying, it could be an hour or a lot longer, depending on what you're studying, before the concepts click and it starts to feel rewarding. That is normal. That is how a complicated, skilled thing with depth works. The reward is on the other side of a period of time of boredom. Now you put scrolling next to that, when, yeah, you will have some boring reels, but you're scrolling so fast that you're constantly discovering interesting thing after interesting thing. And this messes with your brain. Every 5 to 10 seconds, there's no setup, there's no wait, there's no boring part, there's certainly no time or effort required. You literally just open the app and you go on the reels, pay off, over and over again. And when you do that so habitually for days, weeks, and months, your brain will recalibrate and it will start expecting the rest of your life to move at that speed, because remember, it will compare experiences of life to those experiences adjacent to them, to what it is used to. And so when you sit down to read and it takes 20 pages to get to the payoff or the information or even just to become engrossed in the book, your brain panics. Where's the next hit? This is taking forever. This is a lot slower than I'm used to. It's not that reading got slower, that your reading comprehension somehow went down. It's that your brain got used to something with no weight at all, and now stuff like that with a weight feels broken in comparison. Pace distortion, change of pace you could call it. I want to give this concept its own name. I think it is the core of the problem, and I like to make these mental models or these terms that you can use, because having a term like that you can apply, I think will help you notice it far more in your own life. Pace distortion is what I'm going to go with. The definition of that being when your phone or other stimulating activities change what speed your brain expects the world to move at. Not what your brain finds fun, the speed that it expects, the gratification. Those are two different things. Some examples of this, remember this term, pace distortion. When you can't even watch a movie anymore without checking your phone after 20 minutes. Like I've said, books feel almost impossible to start. On a YouTube video like this one, you likely have checked your phone by now, or you have me at 1.25x speed. You better not. Even conversations will feel slow. The natural pauses start feeling awkward that were totally normal in all conversations, so you reach for your phone to fill that gap. And just like I talked about before, none of those things actually changed themselves, so none of them have a different speed. Movies are the same length they've always been. The book on your shelf didn't get longer. The line at the store did not get slower. Your friends did not get more boring to talk to. It was your expectation that has changed. You got used to one speed, the fastest speed, this constant scrolling and stimulation that has ever existed, and now everything slower than it, which is all the other elements in the whole world, feels wrong and it feels slow. That is pace distortion. Once you can name that, you can start to see that happening in real time in your life, and recognizing that and recognizing something is the first step to changing it. Remember when you were a kid? This is how I feel anyway. I'm 20 now, but I always had the perception that when I was a kid, time felt so long and every day felt like it was taking forever and I couldn't wait to grow up. But as I got older and older, I'm still pretty young, but as I got older, that speed of life got faster and faster. I think that is because, especially when I became a teenager, I started playing video games more. Eventually, I got my own phone as I continued to get older. For a few years back, got into the doom scrolling and such. And obviously that made the pace distortion, that made life feel fast, and it made time feel like it was slipping faster. And I woke up and I was almost done with high school and I'm in college now, and it's like, wow, that really got faster. I have started though, luckily, at least during the last few years, reversing this, cutting down on these video games, cutting them out of my life drastically, cutting down on all this doom scrolling. And my brain has stopped expecting this constant maximum entertainment all the time. The small things became entertaining again, like how they used to be as a kid before I had a phone. You could enjoy the small things that occur in life. And the pace of the day has actually slowed down a little bit compared to the times in high school, for example, when I was chronically online. Some examples of this stuff that I do during daily life: actively listening to music, not as background noise, but really hearing and understanding the lyrics. It sounds so simple, but just being so present with that. Normally, we tend to tune out music as background noise. Driving with absolutely nothing on and just being alone with my thoughts, just going for an hour drive for whatever reason, just having nothing on, just being present there. Cooking stuff and then talking to my friends for hours, and genuinely, this just happened to me the other day. I was just with one of my homeboys, and for like 3-4 hours, the phone did not even come out once. We just had a normal conversation. It felt like such a long time. It slows down the pace of life in a good way, like you were a kid again. Things that used to feel like nothing is happening start feeling like they're good enough. Boredom is not bad. I really want to emphasize that because it gets demonized in society, in my opinion, and I want to make a case for specifically what I was talking about, for example, in the car, just being alone with your thoughts, because it is the one everyone seems to be most afraid of nowadays. Boredom, despite how society treats it, is not an emergency. The second there's an empty moment, we fill it. If we're standing in line at the store, we pull our phone out. We're just waiting for a friend to get out, pull our phone out, ad break on the stupid YouTube video, pull your phone out. But boredom is often exactly where all of some good ideas and good stuff comes from. When your brain is not constantly consuming, it finally gets the space to produce. That is where a lot of creativity comes from, in those empty moments that you have been filling with all that stimulation. Some of your best ideas are waiting on the other side of a little boredom that you almost never let yourself feel. For example, most of the video ideas that I get for this YouTube channel are in those periods when I don't look at my phone all day, on those drives when I'm just sitting alone with my own thoughts for an hour. I think, wow, I should make a mental model. I can make a whole video out of this. Here I am. Action steps for you. What is the action you can take from this video and do right now? I'm not just gonna tell you to delete your TikTok, although I have said that before, you definitely should, but that's not the point of this video, and let's be real, you're probably gonna download it again, delete it. I mean, that never works. The real principle is bigger than any one app, and that is that you should reduce to the greatest degree possible the amount of ultra high stimulation in your day. You have to retrain what your brain considers to be a normal level of stimulation, and I promise you that is a way lower amount than you think it is. It's a way lower amount than you want to admit. It is going to be an uncomfortable amount, most likely, of boredom. You have to reset that reference point to give your brain some comparison, that reference point that I was discussing earlier. What you can do in practice: do not ever scroll first thing in the morning. Just give yourself that first hour of the morning. Just don't look at your phone unless you're turning the stupid alarm off. If your very first input of the day is maximum stimulation, your whole day is going to be boring in comparison. Everything after that is competing with the slot machine, and if that's the first thing you experience in the morning, the entire day is going to feel boring in comparison. Why would you want to spend your whole day doing that? Leave your phone behind sometimes. If you're going on an errand and you don't need the stupid map, just leave it at home. If you're going on a walk, and if you're in another room while you eat, literally just talk to your family and be present at dinner. Let some parts of your day just not have the phone as an option. Finally, embrace a little boredom deliberately. When you're waiting in line, deliberately keep your phone in your pocket. Just stare at the wall and be bored for 5 minutes. Let yourself actively feel that and feel and understand that that's not a bad thing. That discomfort is your dopamine baseline resetting. This is not too crazy. That's the whole point. You're not doing a hardcore detox. You're slowly lowering the intensity of your scrolling and of your perception of time until real life can compete again. Although I am a big fan of the hardcore detoxes, definitely, and I have managed to succeed at them fairly well. But if you always fail at them and you are always downloading the apps again on day 2, this is still better than your current lifestyle. Like I said, we wanted to reduce to the greatest degree possible. The whole time, the problem was never that real life got worse. Your friends didn't get more boring, books didn't get longer, gym didn't get harder. Your reference point moved. Your phone became the thing that everything else got measured against, and nothing in real life was ever built to win that comparison. Which means the fix is not what you would think. The goal was never to make your phone less entertaining or to become bored by your phone. The goal is to make real life feel interesting again. The crazy part is you don't have to do anything in real life to make that happen. It is, believe it or not, already quite interesting. It's already sufficient. You just have to lower the time spent on the digital world in that constant state of essentially being in a casino, metaphorically, on your phone with those hyper-stimulating reels. When you cut that down drastically, you will remember how life is supposed to feel. Give it a couple weeks. This will take some time. This will inhibit boredom for you. That's okay. Push through the boring part. Let your baseline reset. Remember how those days felt when you were a kid, how you were present, how the days felt longer, but in a good way. That is possible to feel again as an adult. Believe it or not, I want you to get to that point. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.